Hello, everyone. Today I have a very special guest called Ember, who is a fellow divine feminine on the twin flame journey. And I'm recording with Zoom, so the audio should be better. I know that was an issue before. And Ember's going to help us to see the positive sides of the twin flame journey, the magical stuff that we don't always talk about because we sometimes get really bogged down with all the issues. But there's a lot of beautiful gifts that we can gain and a lot of beautiful things that we can see, feel, and hear. So I'm very, very happy to introduce Ember. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. You okay?
Yes, I'm very well. I'm quite excited to talk to you because you reached out via email and you were talking about all the amazing things. But before we get into any of that, I want to talk about Ember as the young person, the girl, the child. What was your life like? Were you always this way, gifted and able to connect with all the things we will talk about?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I grew up as a Catholic. I was raised a Catholic and I had a really tricky relationship with my mother. So it's quite a long story, so I won't go into it. But she didn't actually raise me as a baby. It was my nan that raised me for the first like 9 months of my life. So she was always quite distant and not actually present much. So her way of looking out for me, she'd just say, if you need anything, you can ask the angels. So as a child, I would always, if I had problems, be talking to Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel. And I grew up thinking that that's what everybody did because that was just always my inner go-to. If I had problems, was not my mum, it would be the angels.
That is so beautiful because recently I've come to the realization that, God or the angels or the universe, they're actually your protectors. They're there for you. They're your mother, your father, they're your whole team there. And I wish everyone had been told when they were young that you know what, sometimes your parents cannot give you what you need, but you've always got, someone else, higher self, higher level who can be there for you. So having that connection with the angelic realm, did that help to give you your abilities and gifts, or do you think that was already there? When did that?
Um, I'm not sure because I've always had psychic gifts and I've had a lot of premonitions over my life, like actual things I've seen, foreseen a long time before they've happened. So people who know me well, my best friends, people I've grown up with, my family, it's not new to them. Like that's always been something. But before I was activated on the twin flame journey, they were kind of like not few and far between, but they were kind of I could remember the exact things when these big premonitions had happened. But I knew they were real, and I have no doubts about spirituality and the afterlife and angels because that's always been a part of me. But I think after meeting the twin flame, it's like I was just in soul mode. Like it just went to another level that you couldn't even imagine or explain unless you've been through it.
And we've been talking just before this, and we'll get into your twin flame. I think you've had a lot of good interactions with him. But just before we move on to that, so your childhood, you were brought up by your nan. You were told to talk to the angels. How else was your childhood? Did you always know there was the one out there for you? Did you believe in fairy tales and fantasies of?
Absolutely. I've always believed in fairy tales and magic and um kind of I was probably described in my teenage years as being quite witchy because I was always drawn to that. And my friends and everybody knew that I could make stuff happen. Even as kids at primary school, I always had that connection to things like that. It was just natural. It wasn't something that I was seeking. It was just a part of me, who I am. Um, but yeah, when you say my nan raised me, I did live with my mother, but I moved out when I was 13 because there was just no kind of maternal role. I mean, she struggled a lot with things her whole life. So I just, again, my nan is somebody that I describe as an angel.
They talk about like the divine feminine, for example, does go through loads of hardships, as a younger person, as does the divine masculine, but the divine feminine tends to gravitate more towards God and spirituality just innately, and the divine masculine becomes more like devilish. But with regards to that, they mention that, you meet loads of perhaps karmics or partners who weren't very nice to you that kind of pushed you into that direction of meeting the twin? So before you met your twin, did you have these sort of karmic catalytic experiences or anything like that that you want to mention?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I seem to be talking a lot about my mother here, but it is relevant. So my mother was kind of very narcissistic towards me, and I didn't realize that. Well, I knew that we didn't get on, but the way that she was with me, um, then reflected through any kind of partner or boyfriend that I had following. So it'd be the exact same dynamics playing out. And yeah, like a kind of persecutor.
So then when you met your twin flame, like, was there anything that happened before? Like, how did that all happen and when did it happen?
Okay, so I would been I met my ex-husband when I was 19 and I was pregnant at 20, and we've been together for 18 years. And again, this was not a happy marriage. This was a really difficult situation because we have three children together. And again, all I turned to was God. I've been praying and I've been asking, please get me out of this. I tried over 4 years, I'd made four attempts to leave, and he'd always somehow come back because I'm a very empathetic person. I like to help people. I always wanted to help him and fix him and just love him. And I wanted to keep my family together because I'd had not had my family together. My parents had divorced when I was a child. So that was a big thing for me to keep my family together. And I kept asking and praying, and I just said, please, I can't do this alone. I need help. And it came to December 2022, and my ex-husband had been like reached a new level of despair with the marriage. It was really terrible. And I suddenly had this urge to go and see an old friend in the Midlands. And I off I went, and I just said, I just need to be with people that love me, like somebody that I'd grown up with. This is a really old friend. I don't care where we go, I just have to see you. And she said, well, the football match is on. It was December 2022. I think it was England. She said, so we're just going to a pub. I said, I don't care, that's fine. So we went to this pub, and this guy was like stood out, like out of everybody. I just thought, oh my God, he's an angel. Like, I can't explain. He did have a white top on, but there was something about his energy that was just like, wow. And I was like, who is that guy? Oh, it's just so and so, it's nobody. And he came straight over to me and he looked at me and I said, I know you. And he said, I would definitely remember you if I'd met you before. We don't know each other, but we were like, it felt like there was magnets in my blood to this man, and we were just staring at each other. We were talking, and he asked me like certain questions about my life, and he asked me my name, and I said my name was, because I grew up in that area. I said, but my married name, and as soon as I said married, I felt his like, oh gosh. And he stood up
Yeah.
to me and he said, you're married? And I said, yes. And that was the first time in all my marriage that I realized that my marriage was a complete lie. It like hit me. And I thought, why am I lying to everyone? It's not a marriage. It's not a marriage. And then he got taken off on the dance floor. He's getting pulled around by this woman. And he looked at me and he said, rescue me. And I love dancing. That's something about me. I absolutely love dancing. And for some reason, I looked at him and I thought, I have to go. I have to go. If I stay here, I'm going to do something I regret. And I just left I was like an absolute lunatic. I went outside. My friend said, it's not even midnight. Where are you going? I said, I just have to go. I've got to go home. And I was like babbling like a fool. I was like saying, who's that guy? And she was like, oh, it's no one. I said, I was like blown away, blown away. And yeah, basically, I know people like to say the term false twin flame, but I can only describe him as being a major catalyst because after meeting him, my whole world blew apart in terms of my reality. It was like this guy had taken off rose tinted glasses that I'd been wearing my entire life. And it happened so quickly after meeting him. I remember going back home thinking, what am I going to do? I've got to get through Christmas. I've just got to keep this together till Christmas. But all of a sudden, it was like my whole life made sense. Like I went back in reverse and I could see my husband for who he actually was, all the things that never made sense about him, like nothing ever added up. He told a lot of lies and he was into a lot of stuff, but I'd always try and make allowances and fix him. But it was like I could not unsee the reality now. And then I was thinking, how the hell have I lived like this for so long? How have I been blind to all this? And I remember all I could do was write every single thing down. And the only place that I felt safe was the bath. I was in the bath for like over an hour because I just felt I had the door locked and I thought I just have to write all of this down. But it became
Is
so
that
much.
is that with the inside the bath with water?
Yes, yeah. And I just,
That's interesting because we talked about this earlier, but like we both believe we have past lives as, beings of water, and
yes.
that's where the safety's at. Wonderful. And carry on.
Yeah, so basically, I'm writing down all this stuff and I'm thinking, how the fuck did my life get like this? It is horrific. And I actually got to the point where I thought, I cannot face like how dark my life has been right back to my childhood. I cannot face it. And I felt like foolish that I'd allowed it. And I thought, I can't do this. And I don't even know if I can tell people how bad my marriage is. I don't know if I can speak my truth. No one's going to believe me. My ex-husband is very, very charming, very beautiful, attractive man, typical narcissist. Everybody loves him, very popular. I thought, no, and he used to say to me, nobody will believe you. And I just thought, do you know what? I've got to do this. But a part of me thought I can't face it. And I actually thought, I don't want to be alive. I don't want to live. And I've never, ever had suicidal thoughts. I'm a very positive, I'm a Leo, half full kind of glass girl person, but I didn't want to live. And I said, I was in the bath and I just said, I want to die. And I asked God, I said, I'm not going to do it, but I want to die now. And then at that point, what I can only describe as just pure divine intervention. My whole body was like filled with like white light and I just had like I've always felt angelic energy, but this was like off the scale. Energies of just pure love, pure protection. We have you, we've got you, and it makes me want to cry because it was just like all my fears just left at that moment. It was like I can do this, and it was like I just went on autopilot. I just got on the phone to the solicitor. It was just I literally with ease well, I say with ease, it wasn't like amicable or anything like that. The police were involved and he had to be, physically taken away. But I did it.
And then your thoughts of like suicide went away as well because you were lucky and connected to receive that love and light support. Yeah.
Immediately. All my fears left me at that point, and I just thought I can do anything. I was like superhuman. I've got this protection. I know this is real. Like you can't explain what it's like to feel like God's come through you, but
Wow.
you feel like there's
Invincible.
no fears whatsoever. And I just was so, so grateful that I met that guy. I never saw him again. I did kind of have a bit of a link with his sister, and I did confess to her, your brother, he's an angel. And she said, oh, we have to tell him. I've prayed to spirit for so long for someone in his life. And again, something made me say no. And I said, please don't say anything. I said, I don't know why, but I know this guy, he's marriage material for sure. He's amazing, proper divine masculine energy. I said, but I'm not ready for that. And I don't know why I said that, but I did. So I never actually saw him again.
So before you met your twin, you basically did all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is you innately knew this one wasn't the one. And I've always known from every ex, like I've always known they're not the one, they're not the one. And it's like something inbuilt telling us
Mhm.
something else is out there. Then
Yeah.
what?
So after that, that was pretty major because I was in the
Yeah.
process of going through this divorce. But I remember went to lie down, and well, actually what had happened was I was in the process of telling my ex-husband I was leaving him, and I said to him, like, it's done, like this is not happening. And he threw something at me and he called me a the C word, which I never say that word because it's so bad. And I just thought I have to get away. And every time he'd be abusive, I could feel this guy's energy, like completely, like it was so weird. It was like he was there with me, this protection. And I went to lie down away from him in my daughter's bedroom. And when I lay down, that's when this intense energy, which I now know was a Kundalini awakening, started to happen. So I had my eyes closed and I just saw the two of us like entwined like a tree. It was really bizarre.
You
And
with
then
who?
as
With who?
with the guy that this person that I'd met in the bar.
The catalyst guy. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I saw us together, like entwined like a tree. And at that moment, this energy came from like the base of my spine and it shot up like straight through my head. And I was like, my body was like moving on its own, like vibrating, pulsing.
Mm.
And it was incredible, the energy, because I just thought, what the hell is going on? But yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say now. But
You were laying down on the
yes,
sofa
I
and you started having a
on the
kundalini.
yeah, it was absolutely blew my mind. It was like every cell in my body came alive with like electricity, white light. I can't even explain how intense it was. Um, it was quite very sexual as well. It was like a full body orgasm.
Mhm.
That's the only way I
Yeah.
can describe it, out of nowhere. And after that,
Did you
I
know
don't
what
know.
it was beforehand?
I didn't. No, I didn't know until I had to Google it, obviously, and then it came up straight away what it was, because there's
What is
nothing
that?
really else to describe, to put into words what that was.
Because I
And
also didn't know what the hell was going on. Yeah, same.
no, but I wasn't scared. I just went with it. I'm never scared of these kind of things because I've had spiritual things happen to me, so I knew it was spiritual, obviously.
Mm.
But I remember the next day thinking, oh my God, I looked in the mirror. It felt like I'd taken an ecstasy tablet, if anyone's ever taken ecstasy. That's what it felt
Wow.
like, coming up off a drug. And I
Yeah.
remember thinking, I felt like I was in this world, but not of this world after the Kundalini awakening. So I thought, how do I go out? How do I go outside? Because my eyes look different, like that complete euphoria. My
Yeah.
eyes were like huge, like euphoric. I was literally buzzing, and this is something that I experience a lot now, is like a buzzing energy when it's really high. And the vibration, I was buzzing with this energy, and I had to go to Lidl to do a food shop and do something human-like. And I remember people staring, and it wasn't me. I was trying to like hide away. Don't look at me. It was my energy. I was making people jump. It was very, very intense.
All
And basically,
vibration coming through you. Yeah.
it was so strong. And then, so, so I was really lucky to meet him because my energy was completely all in the crown chakra at this point, and
He
I
pulled
was
it up. So he gave you Shakti Pack. What makes you think that he wasn't your twin flame then?
the fact that I never ever heard from him again.
Mm.
And I leave things down to what's meant for me. You cannot lose what's meant for you. And I left it a long time. I asked my friend, we had a friend in common, if she could arrange something. And this is a whole nother story, but basically her and her partner just really didn't want me to. And I just thought, this is really strange because there was no reason. It was like, I trust things. If there's any resistance, it's not for me. It's the path of least resistance. And it felt like there was resistance. And I sent one
Whereas with
message
twin
to him.
flames, the universe is always trying to get you together.
Yes, this didn't feel, it just didn't feel right. I can't explain, even though, yeah, you would think that you'd like to meet this person at least to thank them. I sent one message via Messenger, and it was just a really lovely message saying, I don't know what happened, but you really helped me. I feel like I got the got out of jail free card you gave it me, and thank you. I'd love to see you again. And he never even received it. He's never even read it. And I just thought, well, that just shows if it was meant to be, he would have received that message. And yeah, his sister did say, let's tell him, but something made me say no. And I'll get to that bit because there was obviously a reason why.
Yeah, and I want to get into this a little bit later when you talk about the twin flame and then this guy, because people get confused, okay? Because there's loads of different connections out there, and I talked about meeting a guy and giving him the Shakti pack, and he's a Kundalini awakened, and he's not my twin flame. But like, can you explain when you talk about your twin flame, the differences and how you know?
I think the main difference is how the difference is well, I did have synchronicities with the first guy as well. Some really funny ones actually, very strong synchronicities. Um, but I think it's the way that it makes you feel. So when I'm with my twin flame, when I met him, it is otherworldly. It is like I describe it as like a rom-com on speed and psychedelics because it is like nobody else exists in the world. Like it's hot. The energy is so I feel energy anyway. So the energy is really intense to me, the feeling. It's the knowing, the recognition, the eye contact, the familiarity. It's really hard to say it in words, isn't it? That feeling, but the signs and synchronicities are so intense that there's no denying it. And also I think when you first meet them, you do question it with your logical brain, but it just becomes so real with the confirmations and everything else that you cannot doubt it. There's no way you can doubt it.
How did you meet your twin?
Again, through the same friend, which was really weird. It was her birthday, and she bought tickets to a night out in Birmingham again. And we went to this night out for her birthday, and I love dancing. Like I said, I was just dancing, and I danced with a few guys. And because it was her birthday, she like pulled us around where we were going to be, and then something like I go into soul mode. That's how I describe it now. I went into this like soul mode, and I decided, no, we're going right in the middle of the dance floor. We're going right at the front,
That's like me.
and
I'm like that.
yeah.
Always in the middle. Carry on.
Yes, yes. So there I was, and I just turned around and I was like, boom. And we started dancing, and dancing's our thing. We always dance. So immediately there's this connection with dancing because our moves are like synchronized. I can't explain, like we perceive the other's move first. So that was weird in itself. And then we kissed, and I was like, what is going on? That is not a normal kiss. It was like, boom. And then it was like, there was like, we were dancing and it was really amazing and the energy was lovely. And then the last song, it was like people were going on their shoulders and he just like put me on his shoulders and they were like, this is really funny.
Oh
There
my
were
God.
two giant flames either side of the stage that went off. So I'm on his shoulders feeling completely euphoric with two giant flames either side of me and confetti coming down because it was the end of the night. And I was like, I'm in heaven. I'm in absolute heaven.
It's
And
also like
had
what your marriage, isn't it? Confetti.
yeah, but the twin flames as well. Like, obviously, I hadn't thought about all this, and this is just now coming to my mind as I think back on the story. But had that have just been the end of the night, that would have been great. And had I never seen him again, because I'm just in this mode. I wasn't looking for anybody. I was just having a really good time, enjoying myself. And then he was just like, "Can I borrow you?" And I was like, "What?" And because I'd gone out, because I'd ran out the pub when I'd met this first guy, I thought I'm never going to have any regrets like this anymore. You only
Oh,
regret the things you don't do. I should have
yeah.
stayed to dance with the other guy, and I didn't. So when
Yeah.
he said, "Can I borrow you?" I'm not the sort of girl that usually just runs home with the guy she meets dancing. But I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go!" Like, and I'm so glad I
Yeah.
did because yeah, it was then that we had a really amazing night together and there were synchronicities and signs like all over the place. And he had my name in his bedroom, which was weird. He had Ember on the wall in his bedroom. He only had his name and my name, which was it was printed on like a box, but I still couldn't believe it. And then yeah, I talked to you a little bit about what I describe as a sexism.
Well, this is interesting. So let me give a little. So I've talked about before that when you sleep with your twin flame, get intimate, sometimes, if not always, you may not only do like tantra and all the journeying astrally, shamanically, but you will be clearing a lot of trauma or a lot of humanity's templates, which sometimes can be a little weird. So you coined the term, which I love, sexism. So tell us more.
Yeah, I can only describe it as that really because it it all started out very romantic and lovely and la la la, and I thought, oh, this is amazing. And he said, like, and now I'm gonna make love to you, and I was like, wow, Sedion, we've just met. This is like really beautiful. I wasn't expecting this.
So romantic, so caring.
Yeah, so lovely. And then it was like something took over him, and it was,
Darkness.
um, yeah, just very like rough and I knew that he couldn't help what was happening, and somehow I just instinctively just went with it. And there was
You
some
were
things that
safe. You felt safe and trusting, yeah?
I completely trusted whatever happened, and I was fine. But I was aware that this was a dark energy. But something in me knew what to do. I sort of let it play out, and then all of a sudden, I just went into this other role and I just switched it up and I took control completely. And that's when he was like blown away and was like, "Who are you? You're an angel.
He
You're a
said,
god. I love you." Like it was like amazing. It was like I transmuted the darkness
um,
through the sex. So
and
that's where I came into sexism. It was the only way to describe it. It was like battling with a demon in the bedroom.
healing it. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, your DM, for instance, is compelled to play out all the usually the masculine roles that are distorted in your life. And as soon as you heal it with love or whatever you do, they change, right? They're just a hologram, just a projection. They're just there to show you. They're not the devil. They're here to
No.
show you the worst of the world, the humanity's ills, your karma, all the things that are stuck in your system that needs to be seen and then let
Mhm.
go of. And we have so much from past lives, from this life, and all the things, the shadows, the sexual distortions, the shames, all that kind of stuff. And you must
Mhm.
love it to integrate it, to let it go, right?
Yeah, and I was never scared. And I like when I said like he ow at one point, he said I'm so sorry, and I saw he didn't mean it at all. Like it was like, oh my God, he was like he'd lost control. He completely lost control with me.
So what's
Which
intimacy like with your twin flame compared to normal people?
well, there was that. I mean, I'd never experienced anything like that. Um, but intimacy, yeah, he's very kind and loving and nice and tries to be very romantic and sweet. And then something happens with the sex where
Unleash the
that,
dragon.
yeah, yeah. I know it doesn't matter how hard he's tried, like the candles and carrying me to bed and all kinds of like really lovely things he's thought through. But then again, the lost the control. And yeah, we've had nice times, but then there'll be some kind of statement that is derogatory afterwards, like
Getting rid
linked
of all
with like
stuff, yeah.
link, yeah, and then it just makes you think, whoa, this is a divine connection. It's so weird that the darkness has to come through like that.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, but I just I never I'm one of these people that I've had a lot of
But
stuff in
light
my
with
life.
dark,
I
alchemize.
Yeah, I don't react either, which is really good. So if somebody
Oh,
tries to piss me off, they can't. Like, and that's one of my superpowers is that. So
0
nobody
point.
can really, yeah, nobody can piss me off. So I just go very quiet and I just like listen and I realize that I let people speak, even if it's bad, and then I'll just go quiet. And I find myself crossing my arms as well, which I think is to protect my energy. And then that kind of gets people because they're like, you're not reacting. And I can see the energy, not the person. I can see that energy trying to get a bite. And they'll say a bit more. And I'll just go back even more. No, 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 no. So I've never said anything derogatory or nasty. I've never hit back in any way to him. I've just gone very quiet. And then he said things like, have you ever um had anxiety or depression or things like this? Because he can see that I'm so contained, like I don't lose it, which is really a gift.
So did you find that helps to heal the situation better than if you stay in that balanced basically.
Absolutely, because you haven't given your power away and um you haven't
Yeah.
reacted out of fear. You haven't reacted from a place of lack. You've literally just observed what's happened. And then I'll process it. And then the way I process things is I've always loved words. So I write a lot of poetry, which I realized I was channeling the poetry because it's all in rhyming verse and it's very clever. It's not something that I'd logically do. It's my therapy. And then when I look back, I think, wow, it's told a story. It all rhymes. And this is higher self channeling. Absolutely. I know it is. So I put it into words when I'm upset and I
So
write them on paper.
we'll go through your poems later. But with your twin flame, have you met him quite a few times or just that once?
No, we've met quite a few times. Um,
And how is it
over
going? Is it progressing, healing better, like things getting better?
Yeah, it was interesting because the time before last was really beautiful and lovely, and I we had this like both of us. I felt this massive. I forgot the hug. The first time he gave me like a proper full-on hug, it was like time stopped, and I don't know if anyone else can relate
Oh,
to this with the twin
oh,
flame, but it was all I can describe it as is electricity, pure electricity. And do you know if anyone's watched Twilight, you know
oh,
when
look.
Jacob like has this thing because he's a werewolf, doesn't he, where he imprints on that child.
Oh,
It was like he had imprinted on my soul after this hug. Neither of us knew what the hell had happened. It, but that's how I
oh.
could describe the hug was like that. He'd imprinted on me, and he said things like, "I'm supposed to protect you, but I'm in my feminine, and you wouldn't like my dark side." So he said some funny things. But yeah, the hug.
During your separation, what have you been doing? Have you been healing? Have you been obsessing? Have you been going through a lot of stuff? Like once you separate,
Okay,
how,
so
yeah, carry on.
initially, like I didn't know for sure he was my twin flame, obviously. So I was just like, no, I'm just gonna see what happens. And I kind of said we've said goodbye to each other so many times, and then like the universe just does not allow it. So the first time I said bye to him, um, I had probably one of the most scariest psychic attacks I've had. I've had quite a few in my life, but this was the scariest one. So I'd said goodbye to him on good terms, and I said, I wish you all the best, and blah, blah, blah. And I went to bed, and I was in my room, and all of a sudden, I saw in the corner of my room, in the ceiling, like this horrific, terrifying dark energy, and it was demonic and it was terrifying. And it felt like all I knew was it was him in grave danger, and I didn't know what the hell was going on, just that the energy was telling me he was in grave danger, he was in major trouble. And I started to panic and I tried to message him, and the message didn't go through. I was just like, are you okay? The message didn't go through. And then this horrible fear came in. He's blocked me. Well, he's actually never ever blocked me. We've never blocked each other, but this fear came in. And I was just like, God, I just had to pray. Angels, I don't know what is happening to him. He's in trouble. Go to him, protect him, please, because I know I can feel he's in danger. Anyway, as soon as I asked for it, and this is an amazing tip for anybody in life, is the angels will never ever let you down. Whatever you ask for in life or death scenario, in any fearful situation, they immediately lift it, and they immediately lifted whatever this energy was that came to me. And all I could do was sleep. Then I thought, I don't know if he's okay, but I've done what I can do. And I went to sleep. And then the next day, he just said, how did you know I was in trouble? And I said, I don't know. I just knew that you were in debt, like something major was going on. And he said, it was. I've had to go. I had to go back to his home in another country because it was so bad.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, that was ways. That's how strong the universe pulls somebody back to you in ways like that. Um,
And then
and
what
yeah,
sort of inner work healing? Did you do any of that, or did you just, what did you do in the separation?
okay. So I was dealing with a lot of stuff from I was also, while all this was going on, I was also having a lot of backlash from my ex-husband, who I mentioned previously has been very narcissistic and been very popular with the pub crowd. And so I live in a little village, and I had, as because I can feel energy, I could feel the actual hatred from this gang of people, and I had to go.
Towards you.
Yeah, yeah, it
Oh,
was horrific. It was so bad that I would be shaking, like my nervous system was in overdrive, like fight or flight, fight or flight. And I remember thinking, I can't fight this. I was calling to the angels, I cannot fight. The energy's like so intense being aimed at me. I need help. And then I started to have these visions in the astral and these amazing dreams about something I'd never been interested in before, but dragons. And I was like, wow, the first time they appeared, I was swimming again, I was in water and I was swimming through this cove, and this huge shape came out the water, and I thought, oh, it's a dolphin or a whale. And then the head popped up. I mean, to describe the dragons, the sheer scale of them is something like off Jurassic Park. And again, this energy is the energy that doesn't that I can only describe them best as is very strong to angelic energy, but it has this fierce protection, like massively fierce protection with it. Like we've got you, like amazingly strong
mhm,
power. And
mhm.
they actually it blew like steam over my face, and as the steam came down, I just felt they'd protected me with this. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. So they started coming through. Quite a lot. And I remember thinking, am I going crazy? What is going on with the dragons? But then they started to show up in my actual life, as in I ordered some secondhand books on eBay, and when they arrived, this lady had included a free random crystal, and I thought it was like a castle or something because it was I turned it up the wrong way. And then the next day I went over to it and I turned it the right way and it was a dragon's head. I said to her, this is insane. Why did you send me that? And she said, I have no clue. It's actually mine, but I just felt that you needed it. So then I started looking into the dragon energy, thinking, no, there's really something here. This is powerful. And I realized I could work with the energy. So that's what I started doing. And it absolutely blew my mind how strong it is, how protective it is. And I actually did some work in the astral with the dragons at the pub where all this heaviness was going on, and that's when everything changed there. I had this strong sort of protection that came in there, and weirdly, it was like the next week I drove past the pub and they put a huge dragon plaque above the door. And then yeah, lots of people from my past, because I felt very lonely and isolated with all these realizations. I was thinking, I'm not actually leaving my house. I'm kind of in hermit mode. Yeah, I'm speaking to like angels and having dragon interactions, but I'm kind of like too scared to go out because I'm feeling energy so strongly. So I started to ask for things. I said, and every time I get these things, I'm always so grateful because I've realized the more gratitude you show, the more you get the magic and the signs. So I said, please, I understand that this is real. I understand this is my life, but please send me people like me because I am a human and I want to experience life too,
In the
not just in the
physical.
astral.
Yeah.
And then that's when these amazing people showed up in my life. And I think I would say that my healing has been through writing. I also sing, light language, meditation, obviously. And one of the major things that helped me was I was so out of my body in the astral. I'd only have to close my eyes and I'd be going through like star portals, seeing shamans. I'd be channeling like Socrates, Plato, Chris, I'd all sorts of amazing things, Bruce Lee, that I really needed to get back into my body. And I'd lost a lot of weight. Like I've always been quite slim, but I was like, went down to like a size 8 and I could hardly eat or sleep for a good 6 months. I wasn't sleeping at all because I couldn't. I'd
Energy.
hear I'd hear the buzzing, the ringing, I'd hear angelic frequencies and music, and it was very overwhelming. And I thought, I knew I hadn't lost touch with reality. I've always thought, no, whatever's happening to me is happening for a reason. But I also knew that I needed to be more in
Grounded.
like a human, because I wasn't being like a human at this point. I was being somewhere else. And I had Reiki, and I went to a lady who I've known for years, and she just said, all your energy's in your crown chakra. It's spinning, and everywhere else is like depleted. You're so ungrounded. And she really helped me. And then I started going to the gym, not because I needed to lose weight. I was already really skinny, but
But it
the
grounds
gym,
you then.
it put me back in my physical body, and the gym
Yeah,
really, really helped me.
I really like the gym. So you say you see energy, right? And you mentioned orbs and stuff. So when you look at people, because then before we spoke, you said that when you look at people, you can see energy around them and stuff. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say it's energy around them exactly, but more I see the energies working through that person rather than their personality.
Wow.
So people can be very, very attractive to me, but it's based on what's on the inside. Like I can, they can change. It's not just like, oh, that person's really beautiful energy. They can change from day to day. Like it depends what mood they're in. I can see it, and they can become very repulsive. Like I don't want to be around that person if they're in a very low vibration. And I can feel it too. So it's not just seeing it on their face, it's feeling it.
Do twin
Um,
flames have a certain energy also? Or
um, yes, and it it's funny because I can spot. I mean, there's lots of people that are talking about twin flames, and energy doesn't lie. You know what's authentic and what isn't. And it's just a knowing, and it's also a familiarity that you know that you can empathize. They are going through the exact same thing you've been through or you're going through. It's immediate recognition between twin. I'm talking about not just your counterpart. I'm talking about other people on the journey. You know.
yeah, yeah, I feel the same. So earlier you were talking about you asked to meet physical people that could help you on the journey. And we mentioned you have a friend who does channeling, right? And
Mhm.
this is part of your services. So people can reach out to you for a one-to-one chat or get a channeled message from their twin flame via
Yes.
you and your friend. And the email we'll put in the chat. But
Mhm.
if you want to say your services and explain a little bit, please.
Yeah, so basically, when I was asking, because this is another good tip, whatever I seem to ask for on this journey seems to be provided. And I asked for a friend that would understand me where I was at spiritually. And I met the most amazing woman who is literally an angel in my life. Her name's Becky. She is just the most down to earth northern lass, and she's like, "Hey, up, it's Becky." And we met, and it was just instant friendship. And I knew that in terms of ascension, we were in exactly the same places. Um, and when we met, I knew she was really special, really special. And she was just overwhelmed with me because she was so excited that I was speaking light language and I was talking about the dragons, and she was blown away. But I knew that she had gifts. And basically, after speaking light language, it can activate people. And she started speaking too in light language, and she was really excited. And then the one day she phoned me and she said, Ember, I'm not sure if I've lost the plot. She said, I've got something to show you. I've not just the light language, I'm hearing, I'm speaking, but it's not me. And she said, I can't remember it, so I've had to record it. And she sent me some of the recordings, and I just said, oh my God, Becky, this is incredible. It's literally like you've got the hotline to heaven. She said, I'm not sure who it is. It's some guy, it's Megadon. Megadon. And I said, it's Metatron, it's Archangel Metatron. And she said, oh, I'm just the empty head. I don't know any of this. You piece it all together. So she sends me all of her transcribing,
You've got
and
a beautiful paragraph, haven't you, that she's told you about twin flames in general and what
yes,
we are. Do you mind reading it to us?
yes, it just might take me a moment to find the right one.
That's okay. And then afterwards, you said you write poems, and if you have a poem that you want to
Yeah,
read
of
about,
course.
great, because it's very interesting for us as twin flames to understand,
Hmm.
from the higher perspectives what we are. And when you find the paper, just let me know, because otherwise I'll get it.
Okay, I think I've got it.
Okay, go ahead.
So, basically, she mainly channels about the ascension of the planet, like really major, mind-blowing stuff. But because she's my friend, I can kind of ask her little things, which is lovely. And I asked her, could you channel something about twin flames, like in general, please? And she said she's so excited. She knows nothing about twin flames. So this is what's so beautiful, that the terminology that she channels is just spot on, considering this woman knows nothing about them. So this is what she channeled for me on the 24th of the 11th, 24, which is 24, 11, 24, because I like number synchronicity. Um, okay, so she said, Metatron, I see you ask about twin flames and counterparts. These are rare, and in most cases, they are not easily obtained. They can be somewhat complex in their makeup, as these fragmented pieces are part of one oversoul, which can be referred to as splinters or shards of a persona that requires fixing, requires some work inside to allow for these connections to be made, to be consecrated, to be freed from bounds, to be enabled to balance equally in equilibrium, to be placed in equilibrium. Okay. These fragments of self need to be healed, fixed, and repositioned in order for one soul to become fully magnetized. They must be fully connected, forged like new again, once more. From there, they have the ability to embody all characteristics of their higher self, which emanates from within. They have to, and then it stopped. And then she must have been thinking about me, because then it says, her contract, she's referring to me, is one of many. She has an unlimited potential to reach out through all male counterparts and position herself within each of these. This will then help her ascend as she marries up the missing pieces. They will begin to form a bigger picture. They will enable her to leap from one position to another, allowing her freedom of choice of position. She enables them to see her as she desires. They have no option but to align, follow, to enable her to reach her newest goal. She enlists many who follow her on this path. She conditions them as required, as indeed for the collective. They rise as she rises higher. She will lead these souls out of darkness into the light. They will transform. They will change beyond recognition. They will become her allies. They will enable her to become much lighter, much more adept. They have enlisted for this as they signed for her interaction in this life. They desired her energy to enlift, to push boundaries in their own soul fabric, soul makeup. And then they say, victorious, which is exactly what we perceive here. For this child is one of ours. She's one of our kind. She's a leader. We have her back. We have her. She needs no bounds. There are no ties. There are no constricts. There are only endless possibilities for exploration here. With this, we perhaps would like to suggest you find her in your altered states of reality, where she might see you there. This would enable you. Do you want me to stop? Sorry.
No, I mean, if when you get to a place where you are complete, I'm loving it. I'm feeling very angelic and light coming around.
Oh, sorry, I'll carry on. There are only endless possibilities. Perhaps you would like to suggest, you try and find it in your altered states of reality, where she might see you there. This would enable you both to become more alike, stronger. Many will rever you both, as your powers yield no bounds. They lift, enrich, invoke only more light. From within, so without, as above, so below. We enable we enable you both to rise as we serve you. You, in return, serve the highest good. I mean, that just blew my mind.
Do you know what's interesting is it says that you can meet other people and they will help you to get on your path. And, there's some people out there who say, oh, you shouldn't date others, you shouldn't do this. And I've always been a firm believer in expressing things, not suppressing it, because it's got to flow, it's got to be all out, and it helps you on your direction. So if you do meet soulmates, if you do meet other people, it actually helps you on your journey. It doesn't stop you, it doesn't hinder you. And the
No,
same with the DM.
And it's the same with not having guilt about that, because yes, you feel that a sense of deep loyalty to them, but these people, the other male counterparts that you meet, are all there for a reason. It's all part of your soul path. It's all in the plan. And not to have guilt and shame if you do meet these people, and enjoy times with them, because at the end of the day, you need to live in the moment and find your joy at that time.
It's all divinely guided. So I want to
Yeah.
like start to wrap up and finish off about
Yeah.
what is the current situation and then finish off with the poem as the closing message. So what is the
Yeah.
current situation with your twin, if you want to share regarding
Um, yeah, we're in contact. We've never stopped being in contact, but that's not something that we would do all the time. We only usually message if there's a reason, like it's usually like there's something to be it doesn't come from me basically if I ever reach out, and it comes from the soul, and it's
yeah.
something that has to be said. And the last time we interacted, it was a bit there was a bit of a trigger for me, and so yeah, I had to. What did I do? We've spoken since, and it was fine. But yeah, he lives in a different country, and he has invited me there. And it's interesting because I could go at any point, and I think a lot of people would be like straight on a plane, wouldn't they? They'd be there, and
Mhm.
but I
Yeah.
feel I will go when the energy is right, and I will go when I'm guided. And I've had a lot of signs about going, but I still feel like, no, I'm going to wait. I don't know why. Something's making me hold back, and I will go when it feels right.
Do you have any advice or tips before we have the closing poem for
Yeah.
Twin Flames?
Um,
Because I have DFs mainly, but I do have DMs follow me too and reach out. So it could be for both.
okay. I think my main advice is not to be reactive at all. And I know that's really, really hard, but quite often, if there's something that's bothered me or triggered me, I'll write it in the notes. I'll write it down. I like writing anyway. And then I'll leave it at least a week. And then I'll look back and think, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't send that as a text. I've already figured it out that it was just my issue here. There was no need to send that. And I'm so glad I didn't.
I've done
Um,
that too.
yeah, that's
Thank God.
really helpful. I think prayer, asking the angels for, I mean, anything you will ask for when you've got your intentions are of the highest good will be provided for you in terms of protection, in terms of and loving energies, in terms of the right people showing up. So I always practice gratitude every morning I wake up, and it's the first thing I do is thank you.
Beautiful. So as a closing message, I remember you said that you write poems. So is there any beautiful, inspirational poem you want to close off with? It's been such a beautiful conversation, but more than happy for you to close with a beautiful poem.
Okay. I think this one's probably the nicest one I've written. So this was after a really nice encounter we'd had, and I wrote this one. Um, Ancient soul, I know you. We are both as one, divinely created in harmony. Same stardust we come from. Many lives I've lived with you by my side. I recognize this magic. It's not something we can hide. Distance makes no difference. I feel you everywhere. You're in my psyche, in my blood. Same energy that we share. Words become irrelevant. There's nothing to be said to explain the depth of emotions, the knowing in my head. It's always been us, and so it shall be, dancing through the cosmos for all eternity.
Oh, so beautiful. You know, I find like all this lovey-dovey stuff is it's so beautiful. But thank you very much, Ember. We will put your email address. I don't know if you want to say it aloud, and then we'll put it in the description as well. Your email address.
Yeah, it's Ember Angelo 1111, of course, at hmm,
Ember Angelo 1111. And is it at
at
Gmail?
gmail.com, I
Com.
believe, but I might have to check that.
But we'll put it in the
Yeah.
description. So we'll put it in the description. But we really appreciate your time today about sharing all the magical stuff, the positive stuff that comes from this journey. It's not all doom and gloom. Thank you, Ember.
You're so welcome. It's lovely talking to you.